Alright, let's go over 6.2b, volumes by cross-section, part C. And what you're doing is you are bounded by the circle x squared plus y squared is equal to 1, and you are looking at cross-sections that are perpendicular to the x-axis. These are isosceles right triangles with the hypotenuse on the base. So in these right triangles, isosceles right triangles, we have the congruent sides here and the congruent angles here. And the hypotenuse is on the base. So if we look at the isosceles right triangle, in 2D, we have the base angles are congruent, the two legs are congruent, and we have a 90-degree angle. Now, when I'm considering the height for this isosceles right triangle, I have to look at the altitude as the height. And the altitude runs perpendicular to the base, so it's at a 90-degree angle, and it happens to cut these in half. Now, if you notice, this is also now 45, so that 90-degree angle gets sliced into two 45-degree angles. This was 45, so what we have is we have two isosceles right triangles within one. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight one. The other one is this one over here, but let's just focus on one of them. Now, if that's an isosceles triangle, then those legs have to be congruent. So now we have H and H down here. Okay, so now this triangle has a base that's equivalent to 2H. And area is still base times height over 2. But remember that we are going to lay our isosceles right triangle, the base, the hypotenuse, will be the part that's the side that's perpendicular to the x-axis. So I want to generate or create an equation with the base in mind. So I want this in terms of the base. So if I take b equals 2 times h and I solve for h, I have h equals base over 2. This now helps me write base times height over 2 as base times base over 2, which is b squared over 4. And now what we can do is we can go ahead and get our base, or the formula for the base, by just doing top minus bottom, which I'm sure many of you have already done. So the base will be positive radical 1 minus x squared minus negative radical 1 minus x squared. We can simplify that to 2 radical 1 minus x squared. Alright, and we've pretty much done the hard part. We're just going to take this, b is equal to 2 radical 1 minus x squared, and plug it in for b there. We're going to integrate, and we're done. And don't forget that the limits will go from negative 1 to positive 1. So volume is the integral from negative 1 to 1 of 2 radical 1 minus x squared over 4 with respect to x. And if you want, you can take out a 1/4, but you don't really have to. If you're using the graphing calculator, that should be enough to get your answer. So volume is approximately 1.333. And that's it. And we do know that volume is in units